It's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by a romping 10.
Hello and welcome back to the final episode of the series for 2022, the Road to Cheltenham Challenge, with myself and the Golden Groom. Roland, is Cheltenham EV on a scale of 1 to 10? How excited are you? We'll be in Bristol tomorrow night.
10 out of 10. We'll be 3 or 4 points in, I suppose, at that point. Maybe a couple of cheeky ones in Dublin Airport before we head off. And it's one of the best Mondays of the year, I'd suggest, Basil. Yeah,
rumours were booking into the airport lounge from... The Irish Field might give you a half day tomorrow. You never know if you play your cards right, Mr. Groom. This show, let's give the listeners, I suppose, the layout. We do have declarations for day one. So lots of interesting stuff in there. We're going to cover that. And my good self, Ronan Groome, I've looked at each of the handicaps right across the festival. You might have one or two things to input into the mix, but we're going to look at, I suppose, the short list for each of the handicaps, all 4 days. Obviously, we don't have declarations for Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday as we're speaking, but from my side, Ronan Groome, I have my short list made. I know the ones that I will be backing at this point, provided, I suppose, provided nothing much changes in terms of the ground, and obviously declarations. So we'll be looking at the handicaps, but we're going to be encouraging the listeners, the loyal listeners, to actually put their final portfolio in the comments section, so we can have a look as we see who is the real Ante-Post King, Ronan Groome. But it's an exciting time, Ronan Groome. This is the 17th show of the series. We've staked, today we'll have staked 26 points in total. So I'll be hoping for Mighty Potter to win the first and get me off to a flyer, and I suppose I'll only need another point then to at least wash my hands for the rest of the races after the Supreme Novice if Mighty Potter goes in. But let's, I suppose, look at day one, Ronan Groome, the Supreme Novice hurdle. We have declarations, we've 9 runners. Take it away. How do you see it, and what's your final selection?
Yeah, I haven't played this race in our Road to Cheltenham, but with Izard Dynamo, I've backed him, myself earlier in the season before he ran in the Moscow Flyer. I backed him at a nice price for this. Him and Holland the last few weeks about whether they run him here or not. They've obviously decided to run him. I think that's the right decision. I think he has a lovely profile for the race. Not a lovely profile, but a lovely way of going about it that he would suit the race. A big cruiser in front. Reminds me he could do a bit of a voiture here, maybe go off and try and lead it himself and see it all out. I'm happy enough to take on Constitution Hill. I'm obviously very impressive twice, but Sandown on heavy ground and Cheltenham on a potentially quicker surface, I'll just have that question mark over him. Kilcrush, I don't think has done enough to be the price he is. Mighty Potter, I know I've been slagging you about it during the year. I think he is a player here for sure. He's 8-1 now. Look, the way the race shapes up might suit him as well. John Bond is another one I'm happy enough to take on. I think he could boil over a bit the way it will be up before the first race at Cheltenham. So yeah, just to conclude, Izard Dynamo will be in my selection. I'm on a big price. I'm not going to be playing at night 4 or anything like that, but I think Willie can get off to a flyer here.
Yeah, okay. So you spoke about, I suppose, the race in a bit of depth there, Ron. We've 9 runners. We did say on the Cheltenham preview, the Champ.ie Cheltenham preview, that this race, I think last year did we only have 8 runners in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. We've 9 here declared. So small enough field, I suppose, as Supreme Novices hurdles go. Izard Dynamo, was it reports that when they worked him last that he settled quite well, and I suppose the experience angle at Supreme Novice Hurdle, the trends, and you hear the stats, tends to throw up, winners that have more experience than just two runs over hurdles, Roland. So, look, it might just be, I suppose, a slight concern. This horse really would interest me going forward into next year. He's a big strapping horse, and I could see him maybe making up into a really good 2 mile novice chaser next season. But for me, I'd be willing to take him on. Constitution Hill, I'd be willing to take him on also, experience angle again. I reckon, the prelims, his demeanor and I suppose his characteristics, I can't see experience being as much of an issue to maybe the likes of Constitution Hill as it would be to Izard Dynamo. John Bunn, of the more shorter price horses in here, he would be the one that would interest me. He's the only horse that's coming off the bridle, of this lot, I suppose in his trials, and he found, and that was on terrible ground at Haydock, and he's a horse that I think will stay well, obviously being a point-to-point winner. So John Bunn of the horse at the shorter price, but I just cannot get away from my selection to date, and he is going to be my selection on the day as well. I cannot see him out of the tree. I think Mighty Potter is a beast. Saw him at Fairyhouse. He is my selection. I think he'll run a very, very good race here. And I love what Gordon has done with him. We haven't seen him since Christmas. He's a big framed horse. We had Brian Cooper talking about him, on the season, on the Cheltenham preview. I really think this horse is going to devour the hill, Ronan Groome. He is my selection, and I think you're going to get a fantastic run for your money. Anyone who wants to play Mighty Potter, they're still juicing his price at 8-1. Grade 1 winner, has had 3 starts in total over hurdles, and I really like his chances at 8-1. Arkle Chase, more competitive this year, Ronan Groome. The Brits have the favourite in here. How do you see it?
Yeah, they have the favourite now, but will they have the favourite come off time? I'm not so sure, actually, to be honest. I think one of Riviere de Tel or Blue Lord could start favourite in a very open race. I think this could be 7-2 the field. By the time we get to the off, there's no really strong contenders, no superstar as it seems at the moment. I know people are saying Hot on Calour could be that type of horse, but for me, he hasn't done enough. He's just basically had one run over fences. He fell too early to be anyway conclusive about how he would have ran at Leopardstown. Look, it's the big debate, isn't it? We had this debate earlier on the road to Cheltenham. I suppose it's Riviere de Tel and Blue Lord who would have won that day if Riviere de Tel doesn't make the mistake at last. I think she wins. I think she could have won in the Stewards Room as well. It was at a preview night last week, and Noel Moran was there, and it was funny. He was talking about Riviere de Tel, and he was disgusted she didn't get it in the Stewards Room. Thought it was absolutely point blank. I tend to not quite that strongly, but I do think she probably was the best horse on the day. So she'd be my selection. I'm confident enough here. She's one of my best bets on my card anyway, of all the bets we've had. So I'm keeping the fate with her. I think she can run a huge race here.
The closer we get to the race, Ronan Groome, you're bullish on Riviere de Tel. I'm really bullish on Blue Lord. They're very, very close to. I think he will start favourite. I do agree with you. I don't think Edward Stone is going to go off favourite for this. I think the money's going to come for Blue Lord. I think the punters will see sense. People are very quick to throw stones at him. After what I suppose, Riviere de Tel made a bad mistake. St. Sam, lots of people are talking him up as a horse that he stayed on well. He made a mistake at the second last. Blue Lord, this race is going to set it up for a closer, in my view. Blue Lord is that. It will be his 4th start over fences. I just thought he was idling in front, and I think there could be a lot more. I'm not entirely sure this horse, as I said, that was only his 3rd start over fences. I'm not so sure this horse was completely wound up at the Dublin Racing Festival. And I could see a lot more improvement coming from him. He was running a cracker in the Supreme last year, don't forget. So we know he has ran well at the track. Obviously, he came down at the last before appreciated. He's been given a mark of 158 or an official rating by the British handicapper. So that's just a pound off Edward Stone. I think he'll go off favourite. I think he'll win 4-1. I'd actually make my bet of the day, Ronan Groome, on Tuesday, on day 1. If he's still 4-1 on the day, I'll be ploughing into him. Ultima, talk to me. Race 3.
Say that again. I just lost you there for 2 seconds.
Yeah. Ultima.
Yeah, it's not a race. I've just gone through it before we came on, Barry. So I'm going to save my selection. I'm going to skip through this. I haven't finalised what I'd like to back here yet. I have a couple shortlisted, but I'd be only waffling on at the moment because I just haven't decided fully which one I'm going to play. It's a race I'd like to kind of give it a good crack now and come up with my own market. So I'll throw the ultimate over to you. You can crack on here, and then we'll come back in the champion hurdle.
Jesus, work getting you on the show. Crorack Rambler, obviously, he's a selection. Was he my week 11 selection, Crorack Rambler? And I'm so happy to see him in here off 140. He's a course and distance winner. He was absolutely coming down the hill. He was doing handstands here in December over course and distance. Obviously went in the Reynoldstown and on seated rider. It was impossible to tell. I suppose whether it looked like he was banged there in the shake-up. In here off 100, an official rating of 140, 10 stone 2, Derek Fox. I could see this horse. I could see this horse coming down the hill, and there'll be nothing going as well. He likes to be held up. He'll come off a strong pace. He's going to be banged there, 12-1. And I think that one of the horses that will make it a strong test is, I suppose, have him shortlisted in here as well as full back for the Moors. Again, he's off 140, 10 stone 2. He's won at the course as well, course and distance winner. So he's an interesting player. I think he won a point for the Bulls once upon a time. He's a 7-year-old. He's only had 9 starts over fences. He's still progressive. And I like him. His style of running, he'll go from the front. He'll be up there handy. He'll be in the first 2 or 3. And I think he'll run very big race. And I think best price 16-1 fullback. He's also of interest. But I just love the profile of Crorack Rambler for this. So I'll be playing the 2 of them. I have obviously Crorack Rambler in here. I'll be playing the 2 of them each way. I like to, I suppose, split my stakes in some of these bigger handicap races at the festival, which we'll be going through in more detail. But he's my selection for the Ultima. The champion hurdle, Ronan Groome. Will you be having a bet?
Yeah, I will. I'll be having a couple of flyers here. I want to take on. I want to take on Honeysuckle. I think we were just discussing it off air. The favourites that we want to do. I've kind of come around to the fact that I'd kind of be just marginally against her here. I'm going to play a couple of horses in the without market. I'm going to back Tommy's Oscar. I put him up on this show at a bad price, 8-1, but you can get him 16s in the without market now. I'm going to go with that again on the day. I like Adagio as well. I think Adagio could run a big race. I thought he ran really, really well at Wincanton there, better than people gave him credit for. And obviously the Greatwood hurdle form was working out really well. Appreciate it. I just don't like backing horses when there's a ready-made excuse for them. Appreciate gets beaten on Tuesday. If he does get beaten, everyone will just say, well, yeah, he was having his first run of the season. It makes perfect sense. So he's got a ready-made excuse for him running badly, and I do respect him, but it's just going to be so hard to come up here first. I know the champion hurdle might maybe take out Honeysuckle as a soft race, but the point is that Honeysuckle is there. It's a very, very enviable task for Appreciate to come here and win first time up. So I'm going to have a couple of flyers on in the markets without Honeysuckle, and maybe back a few at huge prices on the day. Tommy's Oscar as well, and Adagio. So yeah, that's how I'm playing it, I think.
Yeah, I haven't changed. Appreciate it. We've got him in here at 8-1. There was definitely good value in that, especially each way. Although we don't pay out on each way in this competition, but there was definitely good value in that price. He has obviously shortened up. The vibes have been very, very strong. And it's interesting hearing your point of view. My view on it, Ronan, is what reason did they have to go down this route with Appreciate? Obviously, Sharjah's come out, and you're kind of scratching around looking for, Willie Mullins champion hurdle contenders. But this horse is, it's if he wasn't A1, they wouldn't be running him here. And I think he's going to be our biggest challenger that she's faced in, probably ever, based on last year's Supreme. Obviously, on official ratings, he's going to have to come forward. But why can't he? He's lightly raced. He's an 8-year-old now, trained by a genius. And I just think, in terms of the ones behind him, you obviously given Tommy's Oscar Adagio a chance. I think they've absolutely no chance. I think these two horses are head and shoulders clear of the ones in behind. And that's why I make him a very good each way bet. He's 4-1 available on Appreciate.
I don't understand how you can say that. How can you say Appreciate his head and shoulders clear of anything? He hasn't even ran this season.
Yeah, no, I just think he is. I just think better. I just think classier horse. It's Adagio ran a very good race. He would be, of the ones that you've mentioned, he's the one maybe that I would have mark him down maybe to finish third, or in behind the rest of them. Tiupu has done a lot of his winning on softer conditions. You don't like the 5-year-old angle. I think Adagio is probably the best of those two. But the way he won the Supreme last year, Ronan, Appreciated for me is he's the one in here.
That Supreme was pants last season, though. Let's be honest. I know. Sorry, I'm not trying to pick holes, but I am, because I think he's too short. Appreciated what he's done, to be honest. And now I'm kind of contradicting myself, because a large part of the honeysuckle price is because Appreciated is that sort of price and is in the race as well. But I don't know. The Blue Lord fell the last 20, so he wasn't going to win by as much as he did Appreciated in last year's Supreme. And like, what was it? For Pleasure was third. Ballyadam was, he's been out. He's been badly showing up this season. So I don't know. I think it's a race that you can have a few flyers on some of them here and played it without market, and there's a bit of value there.
How do you see the mares?
Wide open. Possibly one of the best betting races on the first day, I guess, when you have everything there. I just think there's loads of angles. Echoes and Rain's an interesting addition. I don't think anyone saw that. Well, maybe they did, but going up and trip, will she settle? She'd be interesting. She's got good, strong form, grade 1 form. If she settles, that's another huge player in the market. I played this race of Heaven Help Us at a big price, 33s. For one stage, she looked like she's going to go off second favourite for this race, but she's drifted back out to 12-1. I still think she can run well. She's taken the same route as Black Tears did last season. Black Tears had run well in the Coral Cup, finished second the year before, came back and won the Mayor's Hurdle. Heaven Help Us is doing the same thing here. Obviously, she won the Coral Cup by street, really impressive, and has done reasonably well this season. There wasn't much between her and Tell Me Something Girl at Leopardstown. So I think Heaven Help Us has a chance. I've backed one at a huge price. She's going to be my long-range effort, so I'll save her for the rest of the show. But in short, I think Tell Me Something Girl is a bit short here. 100 to 30. I think it's wide open. Like Stormy Ireland, Burning Victory, Queen's Brook. You couldn't write any of them off. They'd have to have a big chance. A lot of them have. They all have Cheltenham form. Those trio. So and Mrs. Milner as well. Good winner to Pretemps. I think this is wide open. So I wouldn't be taking the 130. But Tell Me Something Girl anyway. And I have a live hope with Heaven Help Us. So happy to run with that.
Wow, you've just announced one of your long range efforts. I'll announce it for Ronan Groome. It's probably indefatigable. She was course and distance winner, Ronan Groome. We'll let you make a case for that one later on. I didn't know, by the way, just looking down to the betting, and there's only 3 horses above 25 to 1. So
good guess.
Yeah, look, you're dead right what you say. I think, look, Tell Me Something Girl. She's almost favoured on what she'd done last season and how she shaped in all of her races, giving weight. She's the right favourite. Is there juice in her price now? Probably not. Very interested in Echoes in Rain. On rating, she's rated 150. We're talking her up as a potential champion hurdle horse. At one point, Patrick Mullins takes the ride. She was in a couple of people's notebooks for the likes of a county hurdle. I'm very interested in her. Look, I suppose at her current prices, herself and Marie's Rock. I'm going to just go at Marie's Rock. There's a lot of Irish mares in here, in around each other in terms of the ratings. Marie's Rock for me, she's settling better in her races now. Look, I'm fascinated that this horse runs here for Nicky Henderson. I really am. I think that I thought she was nailed on to go for the Coral Cup, and why are they going here? She's rated £10 below some of these mares, and she's 12 to 1. But I think there could be a lot more to come from her. She's settling an awful lot better in her races. We had Adrian Heskin on the show, who rode her to victory at Kempton on her third last start. She was, pulled up. She's in and out of form, I suppose, all throughout her career. She was pulled up at Kempton next time. You're thinking, this horse, one of these days she's going to land a big pot, a big handicap. And she comes out then and wins again at Warwick off, she's still rated 140. I just think she could run a big race, and there's plenty of pace on in this race. I think it's going to suit a closer again, which Tell Me Something Girl is. And I think she could be the one maybe that could surprise a few. She could outrun her odds at 12-1. I wouldn't be surprised if she drifted as well. So don't be afraid to back her, even if she does drift. Marie's Rock for me is one that could run a big race. And I'll probably play her on the day. I've played Tell Me Something Girl already. Queensbrook, there's a lot of support about her. Could she go off favourite, Ronan Groome? There's this money piling on her the last 2 weeks.
I was at a Cheltenham preview, the one I was at in Navan last week. Now, bear in mind, this was a real County Meath crowd. Noel Moran hosted the night. Bective GAA, it was a fundraiser for his GAA club. Bective Stud sponsored it. So Noel Moran was there, and it was all Gordon's owners and Gavin Cromwell. So it was a very much County Meath kind of bias at the thing. But the main horse that everyone came away talking about was Queensbrook. They were so sweet on her. Ryan McElligott was on the panel as well. It was known to many as a really, really good judge. He was really strong on her as well. I think you could be right, Barry. There's every chance she could go off, close to favourite here, or touch favourite, outright favourite herself. She's got the course and distance, one of the course form anyway from the bumper. And you got to love her run the last day. Gordon is pretty adamant he didn't have her fit, and she's really closed all the way up to Birmingham victory there, and sure to come on for that as well. So yeah, people are very sweet on her. Could see her going off favourite easily.
Wide open race, and we haven't even mentioned Mrs. Milner, but my selection, Tell Me Something Girl. If she drifts, I'll be interested in backing her on the day. I've backed her Ante-Post, but Marie's Rock I think could run a huge one. At 12-1, I'll be certainly playing her in the each way market. Okay, so next race on the card is the Boodles, Ronan Groome. I love this one. There's so many unexposed ones in here, with tongue straps or cheek pieces on for the first time. So many have a reason to show a stone improvement, especially the Irish ones. Irish have a big record in this race, a very good record. What way do you see it?
I'm coming down on a horse I know that you like very much as well. At a big, big, big old price.
Wow. Are we going to agree?
I think we are. This, I was going through the form earlier today, looking at a few videos. Prairie Dancer.
Well, let me just say, he's my long shot effort, my last long shot effort. I'm going to get him in the for you. There you go. Yeah. What price did you chalk? 33-1?
33s, yeah. Yeah, freely available. I mean, like, the run of Fairy House. I mean, is JJ not? Did he not get called in that day? They must have had a look at this. He's flailing around. I don't know what he was doing, but he's
gone on. He's gone on first, hasn't he? It was kind of a strange sort of a race. He made the running for the first 2 hurdles. He shuffled back the pack and was disputing last at one point. And
yeah,
he jumps well, like, so I was kind of surprised. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he does, and I think he's got. I think like 2-3 out. It was kind of like the tight turns a bit at Goran. I think 2-3 out. You're kind of going, oh, geez, he's going all right there. He's going to. And then whatever. Look, this is all subjective.
He's had plenty. Look, going into a Boodles. What I like about Prairie Dancer, he's obviously one of my selections in this race, and I'm becoming more sweet on him for this race as the days. The closer we get to the Boodles, the sweeter I'm getting on this horse. Joseph, obviously, JJ Slevin have won this in the past with Band of Outlaws. He's had 4 runs, like he's had 11 starts on the flat. He was, good rated flat horse, 86 rated on the flat. And he's had 4 runs now over hurdles. So there's plenty here in this Boodles that don't have the experience that he has in terms of racecourse experience. He settles well, he jumps well, and it'll be interesting to see if he's ridden maybe. Would you like to see him? What way would you like to see him ridden? Maybe cold?
Yeah.
And have him staying on late?
Cover him up, yeah. I'd imagine that's the way they will do it. I wouldn't look too much into it. People might start, they might jump on Joseph's another horse here, the McManus runner. Champion Green, and people will naturally be alert to him. He had a bit of a nice, he'd been well touted before he'd run. Only got it together the last day, and Rachel's riding him, so naturally people are going to look that way. I wouldn't look too much into that. JJ's ridden Prairie Dancer. All his 4 starts, I'm pretty sure.
When they put the blinkers on him for the first time on the flat, he went and won. So he's never wore blinkers over hurdles. So the blinkers are going back on.
Yeah. Let's go. Day 1. We'll be hitting the Queens big time there. Line it up with the bar. Prairie Dancer.
Stop your messing. 33-1 Prairie Dancer each way. And you'll probably get about 6 or 7 places, depending on where you shop around for the Boodles. And of course, my other selection, Ronan, I will be backing him as well. The tongue straps on for the first time. An English contender, Saint Seagal, for Jane Williams. Very interesting horse. Was running an absolute cracker behind Porticello. Was very keen that day and came out and won a Mickey Mouse race. I think it was 1-7 at Warwick. He's had 3 starts in total over hurdles. This horse, I could see him probably 2 ways to ride him. Either have him handy in the first 2 or 3 or drop him out, because he can be quite keen. But I do think this horse could be an awful lot better than a mark of 126. I genuinely believe that. I think he's well supported actually in that graded race at Chepstow. Very well supported. Money did come from that day. It was double figure price. He was backed right down and obviously ran a good race, but was far too keen, I felt, on the day. The other one that was of interest, look, I will be keeping it to those 2. But I'm very interested in Nebasari. I think is it Davy Russell's only ride on the Tuesday. I thought I saw that earlier on, flagged up. So for Gordon Elliott, of Gordon's, he'd be the one. I know you like the tide turns, but the 2 I'll be backing on the day. I've backed Saint Seagal already, but I'll be backing Prairie Dancer on the day as well. 33-1. I'll probably back him tonight after the show. So there you go. Last race, I suppose, on the card to preview. Ronan Groome. Run Wild Fred just wins, doesn't he?
Yeah, keep this short. I'm not sure if he just wins or he's that sort of horse buys. I think he's just rock solid, isn't he? I think he's better than Statler as well. I think he's done more. I think the discrepancy in prices for ages, Statler was favourite for this and still held favouritism over Run Wild Fred, and I couldn't really see it. Gordon absolutely loves Run Wild Fred for this. He's been talking about the National Hunt Chase all year. He thinks, and Gordon has obviously a great record in the race. He's won it, a good few times, more or less won it last year with Galvin. Only last minute, obviously had to change stables. So I think Run Wild Fred, JJ caught on, where you can't really go wrong here. He's a 2-1 shot in my eyes, and I think keep it simple. Yeah, go with the tried and tested route. Gordon in the National Hunt Chase with a second season chaser. 158. He's got it all in the book, got all the experience. He settles, he jumps really well most of the time, bar that poor jump at Leopardstown, but still ran well after that. And this race probably not even as strong as that. Only 7 runners, so Run Wild Fred for me, yeah, rock solid.
Well, if the British handicapper was consistent with the tax, this horse would probably be a Gold Cup horse. So it was interesting to see him drop a pound, from 159 was he rated in Ireland. Run Wild Fred, he's all the experience. Hasn't done much winning, but I'd almost make him look. He'd be high on my list of bets this week. Run Wild Fred. Just a price thing, I suppose. I think Blue Lord is the best bet of day 1. 9-4. I could see that short, and I could see Run Wild Fred being well supported in this, especially Jamie Codd be booked as well. I think a lot of people thought he was going to ride Braeside, given the connection, I suppose, with Rob James, Jigginstown. So it's Run Wild Fred all the way for me as well, Ronan Groome, and I will look. There's only 7 runners in this, so there's not. I won't be playing each way, but I will do a forecast on Pat's Fancy. I think he'll follow him home. I like Pat's Fancy. Jumps very well. Has a nice bet and ran very well behind Brave Man's Game, who I think is the lay of the week behind Vauban. By the way, just to say that we didn't say that last. He's a lay of Brave Man's Game this week. I'm dead against him. And he's disputing favoritism for my lay of the week, Ronan Groome, with Vauban and Brave Man's Game this week. But on I suppose to Cheltenham, I don't believe is Braveman's Games course. That's my angle here, by the way. But for Pat's fancy to run as well as he did behind him, with a view to this race, I think it was a super run last time. He jumps very well. He stays. He ran well at the course as well before. As I said, second behind Braveman's Game. Albeit he was getting a lot of weight on the occasion at Newbury. I thought it was a very good run. So he'd be for me to follow Run Wild Fred home. So Runner Group, look, we said it at the start of the show. Going to just have a quick handicap focus. Look at each of the handicaps. And if you have one to throw into the mix, I know you didn't look in massive detail and you haven't decided on final selections in some of them. But I will be going through each of the handicaps. And we've mentioned a couple of them already. So I will be back in Korak Rambler. I've backed him at 16 to 1. He's 12 to 1 now. I'll probably back him again on the day. Full back as well. I'll be covering him each way. In the Ultima, the Boodles, Saint Seagal, Prairie Dancer. Saint Seagal 16 to 1. Prairie Dancer is 33s. So they're the two plays. Getting very sweet on Prairie Dancer. We come to day 2. The Coral Handicap Hurdle. Unexpected Party is an interesting one for the Skeletons. Followed home Gowl Road in the Ballymore Trial at Cheltenham this season. And I really love the way he hit the line, this Unexpected Party. And he's the right type of profile for the race. The Coral Cup is an absolute maze. I had about 5 shortlisted for it. But he's on the top of the shortlist. I think he's 9 to 1, and there could be still a bit of juice in his race. He's only had 6 runs. He's rated 142 now. Mighty impressive at Ascot last time. He's gone up quite a few pounds in the weight, but I do believe this horse will run a big race in the Coral. And one actually for County Carlow trainer Sean Doyle. And I see he's entered in both this race and the Martin Pipe. This horse won 3 on the bounce and improved from a mark that was it 109 all the way up the marks, and he could get in right at the bottom of the weights. Lucky Max Ronan Groome. He's 40 to 1. I hope he goes for the Coral Cup. I think this horse could be a lively outsider for the Coral Cup. So mention for Sean Doyle. Hope this horse goes here to the Coral Cup. 40 to 1. He could outrun his odds. Of course, Paul Hennessy did it last year with Heaven Help Us, another southeast trainer who won it, of course, with Heaven Help Us. So he's one that I will be backing also. The Grand Annual, obviously Buddy Rich. We have him in here 20 to 1. Earlier in the show, he's 8 to 1 favourite now. If he says at that price, I'll back him. I could see him going off a warm order for this. Sky Pirate 14 to 1. He's also on the shortlist for this, and obviously last year's winner. His run last time was quite eye catching, I felt, at Newbury. So he's definitely one. 14 to 1 could be value in there. Pertemps, I don't have a massive view on this. They're all talking about the 3 in a row, Ronan. Sire de Burley, you had him in the team last week, going for his 3rd Pertemps. Sorry, not 3 in a row, but 3 Pertemps. Obviously has a big chance, you'd have to think. But the big galloper is look, it'll be interesting to see when declarations come tomorrow for this. But the big galloper, so he's on day 3. When declarations do come, he's one. Was really impressed by his performance up at Musselburgh. Charles Burns had no explanation for the reason why the horse improved so much. I think he'll run well if he gets in at the bottom of the weights. The plate runner, Groom, I've spotted one in here in the plate. It's kind of it's almost it's kind of like that specialized trip, isn't it? The 2.5 mile chases around Cheltenham. The English have a decent record in here, and I think of the ones at the top of the market, Imperial Alcazar, Celebra Delan, there's not much I like in the way of the Irish contenders. Grand Paradis doesn't jump well enough, and Fussil Raffles, I think, has a massive chance in here. I think he's a massive price at 14 to 1. He's a big player in here. I think he could obviously won the Charity Hall chase has had a couple of maybe below par runs in handicaps and comes back here 3.5 lengths behind Chantry House last year in the Turners. I think this horse has a big chance. 40-1 and could represent very good value in here. Coming on then, of course, to the Kim Muir, and Come On Teddy is very interesting. The Irish have a great record in the Kim Muir, but I think he could serve it up to them in here at 16-1. Come On Teddy for the Noel Feely syndicate. He's progressive. He's a 3 runs over fences, and has that that form. We put in Oscar Elite, unfortunately. Did not get the clear. He goes to the Ultima. So done a switcheroo. I thought, Come On Teddy, you go Ultima, and Oscar Lee get in at the bottom of the weights in the Kim Muir. But Come On Teddy is the selection in here, 16-1. Very interesting. Third in the Pertemps last year. Runs well at the course. Has had a couple of runs this season over fences. Jumps well, and has been laid out for a handicap like this. So yeah, Come On Teddy in there, 16-1. County Hurdle on day 4. I like 2 in here, Roland. One by the name of I Like to Move It. Second in the Bedford, a strong staying 2-miler. And I think that's what it takes, on the course. We saw it last year. It takes a horse that stays well. And I think this horse could be improving. He's the right sort of profile for the County Hurdle. And has ran well at the course, won at the course this season already. Tax for Max, very interesting. If he runs for Willie Mullins, we haven't seen him in almost a year. Tax for Max, a good juvenile form in his first run behind Tiupu, Ronan Groome at Fairy House. And this horse, he'll be having his first run as a gelding. I think he's rated 110 on the flat in Germany. Came to Willie Mullins for the Moniers. And I think this horse is 20-1. And if he goes here, Stateman could be very well handicapped, but I do believe Tax for Max gelded since we last seen him. He's a keen goal. He ran very well at Galway. A strong pace will really suit him in here. I think it could be very good. He jumps well. So Tax for Max, an interesting one, 20-1 outsider for the County Hurdle. And Martin Pipe of one selection and one selection only. That's adamantly chosen 10-1. Very strong fancy for adamantly chosen in the Martin Pipe. Right blend of speed and stamina. We have him in the competition at 10. He hasn't really moved. Been a bit of support for him. But that's my handicap fancies for the week, Ronan Groome. There could be a couple of more by the time decks come and racing comes. But they're all on the short list still. As I said, I like to split my stakes in these handicaps. And hopefully there's some winners in there. Thoughts on the handicaps?
Fine effort from you there, Basil, to speak for so long and go through them all. I think you should write them down, leave them in a comment underneath the video, and people can have a look at them there as well to shortlist them. I tend to agree with you on a couple of them for sure. Yeah, adamantly chosen, definitely interesting. Nice profile, nice kind of unexposed profile as well. And what did you put up in the place again on Thursday?
Fussil Raffles.
Fussil Raffles, yeah. I backed him earlier in the season. And he came there and looked like he was going to win. That was the Cool Cody race, the December Gold Cup. And he's interesting back at the strip. I'm very much of the believer, as you said, that 2 miles, 2 miles 5 around Cheltenham, very distinctive kind of course and distance. Back horses that go well, I think they come back and run time and time again. They come back and run well over the same course and distance. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I hadn't even he hadn't really come on my radar for that. So having a look at that as well.
Brilliant, Mr. Groom. I think it's nearly time to wrap up, isn't it? We're up to the 40 mark now, and I give a couple of long-range efforts to play. I might have spoiled one or two, but sure, go on. Make your case. You have 2 long-range efforts to play, Ronan Groome. And just to explain the rules, every single week we get a selection. That's a 1-point selection. We have our team captains. We have 2 wild cards, which are worth 3 points and 2 points. And with a long shot effort, we get 4 of them across the course of the competition. And that's worth a half a point, so 0.5. So 2 long-range efforts left, Ronan Groome. Play them, please.
Yeah, we mentioned both of them. You guessed right in the mares. I'm taking Indefatigable at 33-1. So, look, I think the race is wide open. She has a bit to find, but I think she's rock solid. She's another one, just that course and distance form, Cheltenham. Important over hurdles as well. And she's a former Martin Pipe winner. She ran fourth in this race last season. Ran really well, and she was 33-1 then. She could have been even bigger than that. Look, the race is probably deeper in quality this season, and she has to come back from a poorish run at Warwick, but this is very much her course. And she ran a huge race there earlier in the season when only a neck behind Martello Sky, giving that mare £5, off levels here and now. At 33-1, I just took happy enough to take a little swipe of her, given her good course form. I think for sure I'll be playing her each way. I think she can definitely hit the frame. Now, obviously, it doesn't count for the competition, but happy to go and take her. Then we talked about Prairie Dancer. Yeah, look at 33s. I think the Boodles is a race that you can definitely have a go. Obviously, Jeff Kidder won last season at 80-1. And Prairie Dancer, I've seen enough in those last couple of runs that they could be just plotted him out nicely for this. Joseph obviously won the race before. JJ's on again. I could see him running a big race. 33 is a very attractive price. And then I have one more selection, Basil, for my normal week 17 selection. And I'm playing a bit conservative because I've always played 33-1, two 33-1 shots. But on Wednesday, I'm taking on the Champion Chase market. I'm taking out Shishkin and I'm taking out an Urgemine. So betting without. And I'm going to take Nube Negra because I think he can fly home. I think he can finish ahead of Chacun Boursois like he did last
price
season.
is he?
5-2. Without Shishkin, without an Urgemine. Chacun Boursois is 10-11 in the market. I think that's wrong. I think that's just plain wrong. Chacun Boursois, it's all this. The only thing that's holding up the Chacun price, I think, is all the Willie's confidence in him. It just seems to be unwavering. But on the pure evidence of the form book, he's gone over to Cheltenham last season, and Nube Negra beat him. Then he probably should have won the race. Nube Negra, he's outspeeded him late on. I think this race on Wednesday was set up for Nube Negra as well. And I don't think Chacun Boursois has done anything since that to convince us that he's going to be a better horse or turn it around this time at Cheltenham. I think he was good/okay at Leopardstown. And I think Nube Negra has been trained to the minute for this race, coming in fresh again, a year older. And the race might just set up for him to come late on. Chacun Boursois is going to be up there in the firing line the whole way, where he'll be ridden cold, Nube Negra. I just think he's a really rock solid 5-2 with Paddy Power and Betfair. Without Shishkin and without an Urgemine, I think that's a rock solid bet.
Yeah, just the one thing I would say about anyone who didn't watch the Dan Skelton stable tour, he is my selection to finish third in behind them run. I can see your angle there, but 5-2, God, you won't. Very, very conservative last pick. 5-2. You've ended the competition the way you started, conservative. Ellie May 9-2 at the time was a horrendous price, and you've taken Nube Negra.
Look at all this fighting talk late on in the day from Basil.
Just said, but Dan Skelton, there will be pace on here, but it's interesting. Turning for home if he's banged there. He said last year, he will hit the line the hardest of anything. He's obviously ran well at Cheltenham last year in that. So yeah, I could see him picking up the pieces and filling the places. And Urgemine, let's hope he goes and does the business in the Champion Chase for the competition and for my good self. My selection for week 17. It is the last selection, Ronan Groome. And last week, I got it all wrong. I thought Come On Teddy was going to the Ultima. And I thought Oscar Elite was going to the Kim Muir. But I'm taking on the Irish Battalion in the Kim Muir. Of course, Gordon has the front two in the market, Smoking Gun, Frontal Assault, both with big chances. Mr. Fog Patches is in there as well for Pat Fahey. And of course, the couple from JP there as well. Schoolboy Hours looks set to go to the Kim Muir as well. So, big. I've a lot on my hands here, Ronan Groome, but 16-1. Come On Teddy. Third in the Pertemps last year. All his best racing over his career. He's only had 16 runs an 8-year-old by Fame and Glory. He's only had 16 runs, 3 runs over fences in his life, but all his best running has been on left-handed undulating tracks. I love the form with a view to a handicap behind Laham Press in the Dipper over 2.5 miles. They stepped him up in trip. They stepped him up in trip at Newcastle, where he made a bad mistake at the 11th. Probably ended his chance. He stayed on well again at the end, but I just think going up in trip again, he does jump well, overall. Big run at the festival last year. And this horse is a chaser. So he's rated the same over fences as he was over hurdles. 137, 16-1. I'm expecting a massive run from Come On Teddy in the Kim Muir. And it's interesting listening to Noel Feely and David Cross just talking about the syndicate, and Love Envoy goes in the mares as well. So 2 big chances, I think, for them this week. Love Envoy, I think, will run a good race in the mares novice hurdle. But that's the selection for week 17, and we've gone in twice on the Kim Muir. 2 English selections, but of course Oscar Reed doesn't go. So Come On Teddy, big chance, 16-1 in the Kim Muir, the last race on the Thursday. So yeah, you probably thought I was going to put up Fussil Raffles the way I was talking about him, Ronan Groome, but we're going to stay loyal to Teddy. And of course my last long shot effort. Just to let the listeners know, I spotted this before Ronan. He hadn't even a clue who Prairie Dancer was before I mentioned it about 10 times on the shows. Prime for a big run, blinkers on. I think Ronan got scared. He's just trying to cancel me out because he can see the angle on Prairie Dancer. He doesn't want me landing a 33-1 shot. But this horse, I think, is very, very interesting. We've made the case already. Ronan has said it all, and we spoke about him right throughout the series. So Prairie Dancer, 33-1. Joseph O'Brien, John Just Levin in the Boodles day 1, and we'll have some party in Cheltenham on Tuesday night, Ronan Groome, if Prairie Dancer gets up to Chin Gaelic Warrior on the line.
God help, yeah. We won't be coming home on Wednesday night.
Absolutely. But look, it was a fantastic series. Before we do go, one last time, we're going to go through our selections to date, and we're going to put them up on the screen as we're talking about them. I'm going to put them up on the screen, our selections to date, and with the voiceover of Mr. Golden Groom, he's going to take you through his selections, how it's looking, what's happening with his selections to date. You can see the red ones in here. So the ones that we cannot collect from. But Ronan, take it away. You see top left, Ellie May, 92 mares. Cheers.
Yeah, Ellie May's touching in contesting for favoritism for Mare's Chase. She's never any bigger than 92. Well, she went out to a bit to 7-1 after she got beaten at Fairy Hills New Year's Day. I think she's solid. She has to run that. I think it's between her and Mount Ida. So happy enough with that. Statuaire, you could make her red, to be honest with you. Desperate run the last day. Back to the drawing board, I think, for them. Riviere de Tell is one of my best bets on the card. 12-1. As I said earlier in the show, I think she'll go off favourite or margin of co-favourite for the Arkle at 7-2. So that could be a big one for me. San Felician, I think, is around that price for the Coral Cup. So I took him in any race market early on in the season. He could shorten up easily. Galvin is 6-1. Another just good one. I think anyone who's getting 6-1 by Galvin is a really solid, good price. Obviously, he's a 7-2 shot now. A lot of people can't see him out of the frame. I tend to agree. I think he can run really well. Runaway Fred, as we said earlier on, 5-1 is a good price for him because he's 5-2 now. Great, nice profile for the race. Nice Salute, 16. So I've half given up on that, and I think he can run okay. I don't think he'll win. I think the Irish novices, juveniles are just too strong. Hillcrest was a real disappointing one because I put him up for the Ballymore. Obviously goes to the Albert Bartlett. I think he's a beast. I think he's 3-1, and him and Han about putting him into the thing, but saved it for him. But I think he goes off clear favourite. I'd take him against Ginto every day of the week now for the Albert Bartlett. Ahoy Senor, good price, 12-1. happy enough with that. Tiger Road 6-1. You know, they're talking about Tiger Road going off 6-4. So yeah, another really, really good solid one for the cross country there. Hopefully the ground stays okay for him. Eric Bloodaxe, haven't given up on him for the Albert Barrett. I think he could still run okay. Manila Crooner obviously gone for that race. That's a bit disappointing. Tommy's Oscar now. This is one I probably could, if I could have one back, this would be it. A bad price there, 8-1. He's out to 16s now. 16s I actually think is an okay price. I think the race could set up for a horse like Tommy's Oscar, who flies home, probably ridden for place money and comes through late on to take second or third. So, but 8-1 is not a great price, obviously. The Tide Turns 11-2 is around that price for the Boodles. Commodore, very disappointed he wasn't declared for the Kinmure. I don't know what's happened there. I know he's in the Grand National. Maybe they're looking at that, but that was a real sickener for me when that text came through from you, Basil. Sire de Burley, yeah, I think he's rock solid for the Pertemps. And then finally, I've added in Nube Negra without Shishkin and Urgemine. This is 5-2. I think this trades at around 2-1 on the machine on Betfair. So you're getting 5-2. I just think it's a really good price. 5-2, definitely value in that market. Taking them over Shotgun Portfolio, basically. It's nearly a match bet. And then my captain is Alaho. Look, 7-2. He's going to be 4-7, I think, for the Ryanair. Can't complain there. Phil Dore, 7-1 for the Triumph. I think that's a good bet still. Lahan Press was another dud. He doesn't go for the Turners now, goes for the thing. Heaven Help Us, as I said, 33-1 is a good price. She's 12-1 now. Darver Star, yeah, that's another dudish kind of where I'm not sure what the plan is, but I don't think he goes. Indefatigable, then I added in today, and Prairie Dancer, 33-1. So they're two big prices. Not expecting much from there, but two nice prices. And if one of them was connected, you'd be in big trouble, Basil.
Yeah, well, I think when we pulled this slide up, you really felt you had me on the racks, and I think to be fair, Ronan, like, you know, I think overall, we're in a very healthy place to come out on top, overall. So as we said, we staked 26 points each, so make that 52 points overall. Now, if we can't find 52 points in here between the two of us, I'd be shocked. I must say that.
Touch wood.
Yeah, we'll touch a bit of wood as we're talking about that. But just in regards to your Nube Negra, you know, chance or you know, selection this week, when you had someone on the racks, you crawl back into your shell. You felt as though, do you know what? Let's take a little safe one here. 5-2 Nube Negra. You could with declarations and everything, I'm very surprised that you could have really went for the juggler here and stuck the ball in the back of the net. And shame on you. 5-2 for last selection. Horrendous. But anyway, I know. Look, it could go and deliver. I'm not totally against the selection itself, but the price 5-2. Oh my God, Mighty Potter was my week one selection, and by God, if this horse comes up, he's my day one selection in the Supreme. He was my number one selection in the Supreme. It has never changed. 25-1. The only thing that has changed is the price. And if this was to deliver on week one, Ronan Groome, you're in big bother because you have a lot of ground to make up. And if this delivers in the Supreme Novice Hurdle, I can see the sweat dripping down your face as you tuck into your hog roast outside the See You Den bar on day one. Magic Days 20-1 for the Arkle. We were talking about this off air. God, she was almost nearly a single figure price on Betfair at one stage. And look, she is a 16-1 chance now, and it probably is the right price. I really think she'll run a big race, but whether she'll be good enough is another question. We have two selections in the Arkle, as we'll see. My team captain is an Urgemine. He's 5-1. It is treble the odds. Obviously, it's a 3-point stake for your team captain. So, Ronan, in fairness to you, you know, your captain is going to deliver. I can't see how Alaho's beaten in the Ryanair. So, that being said, I'm hoping an Urgemine goes and goes one better than Ascot and delivers, and that would be 15 points in the bank for me. My first long shot was Janet Hill for the Gold Cup. We were looking at that thinking, geez, it could be a lively outsider after the John Durkin ran a good race in that, but it never really delivered. He wasn't obviously in the entries for the Gold Cup, and that's dead. Sporting John, very disappointed with that since we last spoke, Ronan Groome. Sporting John pulled a muscle and will go to Aintree instead of Cheltenham. So that's disappointing because I would have given him a lively outside chance in the stairs. Capadano, National Hunt Chase. That's just Willie Mullins bingo. Unfortunately, I think he's a good chance. In the festival novice. She's a really good horse. Capadano. Tell me something, girl. 6-1 was delighted with that. Obviously, she's 10-3 now. She is the favourite, and I think she'll take a bit of whacking in that. Porticello is done a bit of a walk on the exchange run of Groom since we spoke on this competition last. He's 14-1. I would feel, certainly on softer ground, that he's definitely the best of the British. I'm just wondering Gary Moore has confirmed that the two of them will run, himself and Teddy Blue, his two runners. So let's hope he runs and, puts up a good performance. 14-1 is, look, it is what it is. Flooring Porter, 7-1 for the Stairs Hurdle. He was my first wild card. I put him in after Leopardstown when he ran a cracker. When finishing second to Classical Dream. Last year's winner goes there with a big, big chance. And that could be 14 points on the board, Ronan Groome, should he deliver. Allegory de Vassy, 10-1. Lovely mare, unfortunately missed Cheltenham. 10-1 was looking like a very good price for a long time on her. And hopefully she recovers well and we see her soon on the track. Blue Lord, 7-1 for the Arkle, 4-1 now. I think he goes off favourite. I think they will punt Blue Lord on the day, and I'm happy with that. 7-1. Buddy Rich, 20-1. Now as short as 6-1 in places. Buddy Rich. So big chance, obviously, in the Grand Annual. Brilliant profile. 6 runs over fences, has been put away for the good ground, and big goes there with a huge big chance. Gordon's only runner in the Grand Annual. Appreciated 8-1 for the Champion Hurdle, now 7-2. Best price 4-1 on Appreciated. That could be a big day on day one for us, Ronan Groome. Appreciated Magic Days, Mighty Potter. We could be in the Arkle bar on the limoncellos by the time. And then we'll cap it off with Prairie Dancer. But let's go down to them. Saint Seagal, 40-1 for the Boodles. Best of the British, I think, in here. So I think it'll run a good race. The Nice Guy, done a bit of a walk on the exchanges. I love the way this horse has been campaigned. Very unwilling, like to send him to the Albert Bartlett. Be interesting to see who Paul rides in here. But the Nice Guy is a very good horse and could represent really good each way money. Ginto and Hillcrest, obviously two big. It's a really good Albert Bartlett this year. I didn't see that one coming. 2 weeks ago, Manila Crooner was the favourite, and it looked like Hillcrest wasn't even going for the race. Now we've Ginto and Hillcrest. So it'll be a big task, but the Nice Guy's a nice horse. The Real Whacker, 66-1. And look, this horse stays very, very well. Look back at his Carlisle run. Very, very green the last day. Harry Skelton up for Anne Duffield, is it? Or Anne Dunfield. This horse, he'll stay, and I think he could be underestimated potentially. Galloping the Champs, we took the bull by the horns, Ronan Groome. What the hell are people campaigning for this horse to run over 3 miles for? He doesn't need to. I think it's a lot of pocket talk as regards to Galloping the Champ. I did tweet that early in the week. All sorts of statements going around doing the rounds. But this horse, let's hope tomorrow morning when we check the phone that there's no Galloping the Champ in capital letters going around the place, because it's the Turners for me. Two points win. Obviously my second wildcard. Korak Rambler, 16-1 for the Ultima. Huge chance. It's 12-1 now. Plutard, my most conservative pick of the series, Ronan Groome. 10-3 for the Gold Cup. Has Galvin overtaken him for favoritism?
Should do.
On the exchanges he has, and I have no idea why. Plutard, the most classiest horse in the race, blew me away in the Betfair. Second in the Gold Cup. I think he goes one better this year in the Gold Cup. Cracking animal. And 10-3. Let's hope that looks like value on Friday afternoon. Adamantly Chosen. The nearer we get to the Martin Pipe, the sweeter I'm becoming on this Adamantly Chosen. Love his profile. 10-1, then 10-1 now. Runs a big race. Kim Muir, Oscar Elite. Unfortunately, that was... what are the Tizzards playing at here? He's 5 pounds out in a handicap in the Ultima, and they've decided to run him in that with Harry Cobden up. I've no idea what they're at in here, but anyway, come on, Teddy's going to go and win it at 16-1. He is my last selection of the series. And Prairie Dancer, don't forget the last long range effort. Ronan Groome, copycat. You copycat, Ronan Groome. Both 33-1 long shot efforts. And one thing is for sure, Ronan Groome, if Prairie Dancer wins this, the Boodles, then this series is going to absolutely blow up in terms of profitability. And with him in here for both of us. So that is our selections. Let us know what way you would price it. Some people are making Ronan Groome a 10s on shot. That's an absolute disgrace. It's an outrage to see people pricing it up that way. But let us know down below. What way do you price it up going into the week? And if it's a good enough price, I never know. We might get into the DMs and take you on. But Ronan, what an amazing series it's been. I loved it. Great fun. And I think we're in a very good place to come out on profit. Thoughts?
Oh yeah, it's a great series. Thanks a million to everyone. I'm sure we'll do another show, will we, Barry? We'll do an early bird for next year and review the selections maybe next week at some point after Cheltenham. But
the review
thanks
show
everyone.
Can also...
Go on, sorry.
The review show can sometimes be the best show, because on last year's review show, we put up Gallop and the Champ at 25-1 as my first selection for this year. So if we were counting that, Ronan Groome, you'd be minus 25 already. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that show. Obviously, there'll be lots to digest. We will do it the week after Cheltenham. It'll probably be later in the week. We will do a review show of the Cheltenham Festival, and I suppose crown the Ante-Post King 2022. We'll have the ceremony. But let us know down below as well, because as I said, in terms of a prize, Champ.ie are going to put together a little horse racing hamper, courtesy of my good self. We're going to send it out to, I suppose, the most profitable portfolio in the comments. So make sure you have it updated. We've been watching the portfolios all the way along. We've done portfolio spotlights right throughout the series, but we want you to put in your final selection and your updated portfolio with each of your 17 selections, your 4 long shot efforts, your 2 wild cards, and your team captain. Update the portfolio, put it in the comments. Fascinated to see who does come out on top. I'm seeing 20-1 on Facile Vega in the comments. You know, I'm seeing massive prices, but update your portfolio, and whoever comes out on top in terms of profitability, we will be reviewing them after Cheltenham. We will send out a hamper, a Champ.ie horse racing hamper, with all sorts of bits in there. So, updated. Listen, it was a fantastic series, Ronan.
You bit of Stilton cheese in the hamper?
Bit of Stilton cheese, a Prairie Dancer scarf, some maybe a couple of bottles of harp. Keep the Dundalk.
Cool. I had a few pints of harp last night up in Belfast. That's a lovely pint. Pints of harp, very fresh. Yeah, so get them into the hamper with the Stilton cheese.
Bit of Stilton cheese, a couple of bottles of harp, and some horse racing merchandise.
And a €25 free bet.
€25 free bet, yeah, exactly. So that's it. That's it for the series, Ronan Groome. I just to the listeners, I was on a stag party over the weekend, and I need my bed because we have a big couple of days coming up. And roll on the Supreme Novice Hurdle, Mighty Potter, 25-1.
Inside the final 150 yards, this is a special year, and it's a hands full of grace. And it's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by a romping 10.